In this video, we're going to look at how to manage your application's pages. We'll see how to create a new page in your app, how to manage its properties, and also how to navigate between your pages, both on the front end and also in the editor. So the first thing to know is that no matter where you are in your editor, you can be on any of these tabs here, you'll always have access to the page drop-down list in the upper left corner. This is going to let you do a few things, but mainly it will show you all of the pages that you have in your application. So right now we can see that I only have my 3 pages that are built in. These pages every single Bubble app will have: the index, the 404, and the reset password. The index is your home page. This is actually the root of your domain for your application. So for example, if I preview this page from here and you look at the URL for this page, we're really just at the root domain. So I'm still on the Bubble hosted domain. I have not connected my application to a custom domain. But if I had, that's what would display here, right? So I'm on the Bubble hosted domain. It's Fast Track Experience. That's the name of the application. That's the ID, .bubbleapps.io. If I connected my app to a domain called myapp.com, then we would see myapp.com here instead. And that's the root, right? There's no other page name or anything like that that comes after this. We do see the word version test here, but that's just to let us know that we're on the development version of the application. In the live version of the application, we would not see version test, nor would we see the debugger. This is just your troubleshooting toolbar. You actually don't even have to have that there if you don't want. If you're not, working with the debugger, so you can remove that. That toolbar will go away, and here is just the full address of my index page. Okay, now if I wanted to go to my reset password page, I can of course preview this, or I can just type in the name of the page after version test here, reset password, and this will navigate me to that separate page in my application. So notice that the address for this page, because it's not the index, is going to be my base domain, the version that I'm on. Again, if we're in the live version, we're actually not going to see this part here, and then reset password, which is the name of the page. Okay, now these 3 built-in pages you cannot delete. They're special pages, they have special functions. The index is your root, right? You have to have the root page somewhere for your domain so that your users land somewhere when they go to that, that address. The reset password page is the only one that allows you to reset a password while someone is not logged in. So there's a workflow that will allow you to send a user a link, a one-time use link to reset their password. They can come in here, change it, and it's all updated for them. This is typically for password recovery. Now you can of course change the design so that it looks however you want it to. It matches the rest of your application. That's all fine. But in order to run that reset password function, it has to happen on this page. That's why this is a special use page. If we go over to the 404 page, this is your general error page. So if a user tries to access a page that doesn't actually exist in your page list here, they'll automatically be redirected to this 404. So for example, if I try to navigate to a page called, CNCA, Coaching No Code Apps, right? We know we don't have a page with that name in our editor, so it's going to automatically direct me to the 404. Again, you can also design this however you'd like so that it matches the rest of your application. I do recommend that you have a button on this page to navigate the user back to safety, right? Take them back to the index, take them back to the login screen, just to help them leave this error page and get them back on track. So for example, I can add a button here that says go back to home page, something like that. And when we click on this button, let's just create a quick workflow here, start edit workflow. I can navigate to my index page. So we'll go to the navigation actions and run the go to page action. Here I'll select one of my pages in my application. These are the only 3 that I have right now. So if I'm trying to remove them from the 404 page, probably better to go to the index page. Okay, so if I refresh this from here, and click on this button, it's going to take me back to the index, and the user is now, they can now, work with the application properly. All right, so I'm going to go back to the index page here. Now let's take a look at adding a custom page to our application. So again, you can go to this drop-down window and click on Add a New Page. So from here, you'll just give the page a name. Make sure to not have any spaces because this is a part of that URL and you don't want to have any spaces there. Let's say we create an About page. I can create a brand new blank page from scratch like this, or if I wanted to clone from an existing page, I can select one of those pages from this list here, right? So I can clone from my index page and it will create a complete copy. So this is great for creating backup pages, or if you know that an existing page has a lot of the designs and the workflows that you just want to carry over, really great shortcut there. So you notice that I'm on my About page and I have this text that says this is the index because I copied it from the index page. So I'm going to change this content to say this is the About page instead. Now let's add a couple of navigation actions here. Go back to index like this. And I'm going to start edit a workflow just like I did on that 404 page to navigate my user back to the index page. Okay, I'm also going to go back to the design, right click, copy this button with workflows, go back to my index page, right click, paste this with workflows, and update this button, right? I'm on a separate page. And I basically just want to create a button to go back to the About page. So I have buttons going back and forth between the two pages. This is how you can create a menu system if you want to have multiple buttons for navigating between your pages. So we're going to say go back to About, and I'm going to update the workflow here so that it says navigation, go to page, and we want to go to the About page. Right, so now I'm going to refresh this page here on the preview so that I can see that navigation action happening. So I'm on the index, I'm going to go to About. So now I'm on the About page there. You can see in the URL, it's loading, the text has changed, right? We're on a completely different design. Click on this button to go back to the index, right? And so I can just navigate between the two. There we are. All right, now let's take a look at the property editor of your pages. And I'm actually going to do this in the About page since I have a little bit more than I can customize here because this is a custom page. So if I double click anywhere on this page, I'll pull up the property editor. Now the first thing to note is changing the page name, which you can do up in the top, right? So if I wanted to change this to say About Us instead, notice that that has changed the actual page name here, as well as when we go to preview this page here, it's going to change how it's written in the URL. So just be mindful of that whenever you're editing your page names, that this does actually change the address to that page. Okay, so here it says About Us. And it's the exact same design. I've just changed the page name. Now, if I were to go back to just About, okay, so I remove that, that page name no longer exists on my domain. It does not exist in my application, so it's going to redirect me back to that 404. Okay, so that's how you can change the page name. Now, be mindful that you cannot change the names of your built-in pages. The index, reset password, and 404. You can only change the names of your custom pages. The next thing to look at is the page title. So this actually shows up in the tab of the browser right here. So if I selected, or if I typed in About, now let's just make it a little bit more different, About the Team, right? So the name of the page is About Us, but the page title is About the Team. Okay, and I'm going to preview this here so we can see that even though the page name is About Us in the URL, the tab is going to say something different. So you have control over that. The next setting that we have here is this page is a native app. This is actually a feature that is still in beta and doesn't really make a huge difference whether you are building something that you want to submit to the app stores or not. You really don't need to worry about checking this box. There are many different ways of wrapping your application to put it into the app store without this setting needing to be enabled. You can take a look at Bubble's reference to understand what it does, but it's not something that you really need to worry about too much. Now, the mobile version setting is a different capability that is very helpful. So let's say that you have an About Us page that you've designed specifically for desktop, right? Everything is wide and you might have much more information. And then you have a separate page in your application, a completely different design specifically for mobile. The screen size is a lot smaller. You might have less content on there. You might have a different menu system on there. So on the desktop page, the desktop version of that page, you can select what the mobile version is, right? So I would choose the other page that I would have created specifically for the mobile version of this desktop design. What happens there is that when a user loads the desktop page on a mobile device, Bubble will automatically redirect them to the mobile version so that they can access the more appropriate version for the device that they're on. Now, you don't have to use this function for that kind of behavior. There are a lot of other ways to work with different screen sizes. The biggest one being just designing your pages to be responsive. So you can have one single design. You do not need separate pages, but as long as you have addressed all of the responsive settings, your visual elements can adapt to different screen sizes properly. Okay, you can also create your own redirect workflows to move people from one page to another depending on the page width. So if you actually wanted to control, maybe there were different breakpoints that you wanted the page change to happen from desktop to mobile or from mobile to desktop, you have that ability. This is simply a kind of like a preset or a built-in capability that you can take advantage of if you want to, but you don't have to use that for, taking users to different designs based on the device that they're on. The type of content allows you to pass specific data to the page. So you can send a reference for a record in your database to this page as long as you've defined the data type that the record is a part of, right? The table that record is a part of. We'll go over this setting in more detail when we look at passing data between your pages. Your pages don't need to have this setting if they're not going to necessarily receive data. So this is just going to depend on what your features are. Style is just a way for you to set and apply page level styles, just like you can with your visual elements. You can address those under the Styles tab. So let's say that you wanted all of your pages to have a background color that is slightly gray like this, right? I can create a new style. I can call it something like standard page, right? That's just the name of my style there. And now any other page in my application, I can apply that style to take on those visual properties, and I don't have to redesign it every single time. So for example, if I go back to the index page, which currently has no style, I can now select that standard page style that I created on the About page, and we see that is applied there. So just like your stylings for your visual elements, you can do the same thing at the page level. Right, now I'm going to remove this style here because I do want to show you something. You can set different background styles at the page level, which is really popular for landing pages, different splash marketing pages. You can set them to have a gradient or an image or a video. Just be mindful with these ones that may take files that you're aware of the file size, because a very large video or an image could slow down the loading of the page. So just be mindful of that. Okay. Then we have a handful of SEO settings that you can define here so that when somebody is searching for your application in a search engine like Google, these specific details can show up in those search results. So the title of the page, the description, even a main image for it. These are also the metadata that would be pulled when sharing links to your application in social networks. So if you think of adding a Facebook post or creating a tweet, sometimes they have those previews for the website that you've linked to, and it's this content that you add in here that will show up in those previews. You also have an area to add in some custom HTML that's a little bit more advanced. Most applications don't need to worry about this here, but you do have that ability to add custom HTML to the page's header. This is unique to the page that you're on. Okay, so again, this property editor here, I'm only modifying appearance properties, backend details for this page that I'm currently on, this index page in this case. Okay, now let's take a look at organizing your pages into folders. So down at the bottom of the property editor, you can see here, I can select a folder, which I actually don't have any created, or I can create a brand new folder, of course. Let's actually do that right now. So let's create a folder called built-in pages, like this. All right, so this index page is now in the built-in pages folder, and all this is a filter. Okay, so if I go into the upper left corner here, this drop-down window, I can now choose that folder to filter my pages, and you can see the index page is the only one in that folder. If I want to deselect, basically unfilter my view, I can click on that empty space here in this drop-down, and I'll see all of my pages again. I'm going to go to the reset password page, double click here to add it to the built-in pages. I'm going to do the same thing for the 404, double click here, whoops, there we go, and also add it to the built-in pages folder. And so now I have 4 total folders, but if I filter to the built-in pages, it just takes me to those 3. Okay, I can also create a new folder from here. If I wanted to change to a different folder, I just select a different folder in this dropdown. So let's say I create another folder called custom pages, like this. So if I go to custom pages, right, I have my 404 under that one. So I can just switch between those folders there. Now, if I want to delete the folder, I'm perfectly safe to do that. It is not going to delete the pages within the folder. So I can click delete and it's gone, click delete here, and I no longer have any folders. Let's deselect here so it can reset itself, right? So I did not delete the folders by doing the deleting of the, I'm not deleting the pages by deleting the folders. You can notice that in this dropdown, we also have a way to access our reusable elements. Now, we'll tackle that type of special element in a separate video, so you don't need to worry about that right now. All right, so that's pretty much it as far as creating new pages, navigating between them using this go to page action. There are a couple of other details here in this action that we'll look at in later lessons when it comes to passing data around. But for basic navigation, the go to page action is really all you need. You'll just select the destination page. You'll notice that you can also create a new page from here directly as well. The other thing to point out just finally here is that all of these tabs, like I said, you can get to this drop-down list no matter where you are. The design and the workflow tabs are the only ones that will show you unique things for that page. What I mean by that is when I'm on the design tab, I'm looking at the canvas for the index page specifically. When I switch over to the About Us page, I'm looking at the canvas for the About Us page. If I go to the Workflow tab, then I am looking at the workflows for that page only. I am not seeing workflows here for all of my other pages. Right? So this section is unique to the page that we're on. If I go back to my index, then I'm looking at the workflow set up on the index page. Okay, every other tab is just going to be settings. They're not actually unique to the page that is selected. So these are more app-wide tabs here for these last 5 tabs. Okay, so just be mindful of that. And as you saw me a few times at the beginning of this video, when I want to preview the page that I'm currently designing, I'll just click on this preview button right here. And if you just click on it by itself, it will take you to a normal preview just like we've seen here. You also have the capability of previewing under different safe modes as well, which is going to become more important when you start to incorporate plugins and any other custom code to your application. If you hover over the preview, so don't click on it, but if you hover, then you'll see this window come up. Right? So it does give you another way to do the normal preview, just like if you were to click on the button, but then you have these 3 safe mode options for opening up the page with custom plugins and or custom HTML removed from the page. This is especially helpful if you're needing to troubleshoot some weird behavior happening in your app. Sometimes custom code can interfere with how your app behaves. They can interfere with plugins. Plugins may not be, they might be buggy, right? And so if you run your page in safe modes, one of these 3 safe modes, it can help you isolate what the issue is, just as a troubleshooting tip there. All right, everyone, so now you know how to create new pages in your application and how to navigate between them. We will take a look at some more visual elements here in your editor in the next videos. We'll see you there.